Hey, welcome back to another video. I know I've been posting a criminality video in over 2 months, but bear with me. I'll be posting crim videos every Saturday for the next few weeks, so please consider subscribing if you want to be notified when those come out. Anyways, in today's video, I'll be going over all luck-involved criminality mechanics like skin cases and the mystery crates. You'd be surprised at how many things involve luck in this game. Okay, so number one is skin cases, as you probably guessed, since they resemble luck. But anyways, I made a spreadsheet for every skin case to ever exist in criminality. There's a total of 18 skin cases, and 9 of which have been removed as of the making of this video. All the main ones though, like the gun and melee cases, won't be going away however. So to talk about rarity here, each normal gun and melee case all have the same odds. The common is at 77.2%, rare is at 19.75%, epic 2.2, legendary 0.6, and exotic 0.25. Kill track is separate from the skin rarities, but it's always a 10% chance on all skin cases, except for the souvenir infection case because it's guaranteed in that one. And now you probably noticed that the chance of unboxing gold is shown here despite not being shown in the game, and you're probably like, how do you know? But if I recall correctly, some guy at Criminomics calculated how many July 4th cases were opened in 2023 by determining how many kill track patriots existed and worked from there. I don't get it entirely, but a lot of people agree on it, so it could really be a 1 in 9,090 chance of getting one. Oh, and the reason for all the question marks and a lot of the event cases is because I never recorded the exact odds for them, and the wiki doesn't show it either. And yeah, that's the assumed rarity for limited skins. I also made a spreadsheet for how rare event items are in dealers since nobody has known about it ever. I did this by restocking in a private server up to 500 times, and every time I saw, let's say, the eradicator for example, I would write it down. Next to all the numbers of percentages that gradually get more accurate as the number of restocks increase. At 100 restocks, I got 10 AKMs, which explains that at each dealer there's a 10% chance of an AKM being in stock. But you may notice after 500 restocks, I got 64, which bumped up the percentage from 10 to 12.8%. All of these examples have usually close percentages, like the necromancer always being at 1 or 1.2%, and that makes sense. For all the private server players out there, you may remember needing to restock so many times for the necromancer before the item list came out because it was almost never in stock. There's a lot of cool stuff here like the Fallen Blade, X24 potion, and the Pumpkin Bomb, and I would say that the most accurate percentage for each item here would be the one with 500 restocks, since the more times I restocked, the more accurate the numbers became. Here's even a pie chart for all the melees. Eradicator on average 6.8% chance, Fallen Blade 1.5, and so on. The only strange thing I noticed was that both the Slayer Sword and Slayer Armor have about a 1 in 10% chance to spawn in each dealer, despite being an event item. I also don't even remember seeing that many Slayer Swords in dealers back in 1.4. You may be thinking that's it, just skin cases and dealers, but there's a lot more actually. I couldn't forget about the infection game mode, so I made a whole separate spreadsheet for that. It goes over the chance of spawning as certain zombies like the Reactor and Hunter at each hour. So at both 12 and 1 AM, you're guaranteed to spawn as a common infected since other zombie types aren't available yet. At 2 AM, spitters will start spawning and you have a 12% chance of spawning as one. At 3 AM, common infected rates go from 88% to 55%, which means you basically have a 50-50 chance of spawning as a strong infected type. 3 AM unlocks Riot and Reactor infecteds, which have a 24% and 10% chance of spawning as one. At 4 AM, all of the infected types become available. Spitter remains at 13%, Riot is pretty close to 24%, Reactor is a little harder to get, Hunter is at 1.6%, and Brute 5.3%. And lastly, at 5 AM, Spitter goes down to 5%, Riot is cut in half, Reactor is nearly the same percent, Hunter is still 1.6%, and Brute is now 7%. One thing I have to mention about this data for infected types is that several factors may cause inaccuracies, such as spawn cooldowns or spawn limits, but I don't know if they exist or not, so I just have to guess. Also, the chance to become an alpha infected at the start of a round is 33%, which means a third of the server gets infected at the start of every round. Here's the pie chart for infected chances at 5 AM, and yeah, that's probably the closest there is to figuring out what the real odds are for becoming each infected zombie type. I even figured out a way that involves airdrops having some luck to it, but not in the way you may be thinking with the loot pools, since that comes later in the video. I tested on average all of the different possible outcomes there are, whether there are 2 crates, 1 crate, none, and whether the plane explodes or not, or whatever this even is. So after I spawned 10 planes on a private server, 7 of them dropped 2 crates, 1 dropped 1 crate, and 2 dropped 0 crates. Anytime the plane doesn't drop 2 crates, it means it blew up somewhere along its path, so that means that 3 out of the 10 planes exploded, giving it a 33% chance to explode. But after 30 plane spawns, 26 planes dropped 2 crates, still only 1 plane dropped a single crate, and 3 in total dropped 0 crates. This means 4 out of the 30 planes exploded, giving airdrops a 13.3% chance to explode. I find it cool how it's rarer to get 1 crate than it is to get none, because the plane has to blow up after dropping 1 crate and before dropping the second crate too. One luck related thing that you could be expecting by now would be mystery crates. Instead of testing how often I get each item to see if getting a BFG is rarer than a shiv, I'm just going to assume that all of the items in the loot pool have an equal chance of being one. So instead of that, my goal was to see how many items I could get before the crate exploded. Unfortunately though, the mystery crate is broken because when I go up to it, the prompt to buy a spin doesn't show up most of the time. I have no idea how to fix this, so it limited me to only getting the data for 5 boxes. So here's the data. After I got 3 items, the crate exploded twice. The same thing happened with 4 items, and once at 6 items. With this, I would stop buying spins after a mystery crate has been spun 3 times from now on to save you that $950. Do you remember the April Fool's update with the cup trials? I sure do. I even remember the annoying first layer that ended half of your attempts immediately. You know, the one with the 8 passages and a 50-50 chance to walk into one of the correct ones? Yeah, so that has some luck to it obviously, but there's not much to talk about for this category except for the rumor that says as of spawning, the passage directly behind you has a high chance of being a correct one. Oh, and the maze in layer 2 could also involve some luck, so here's a map of the maze if you want to take a screenshot of it. Just like the Cope trials, the Cope games exists. I'm assuming you already know all the games since they increase the spawner rate of the Cope games, but if you don't, there's 3. Red Light, Green Light, Mingle, and Glass Bridge. You could say that all of the games involve luck, whether it be not getting pushed by someone in Red Light, Green Light, getting the right amount of people in Mingle, or making it to the end in the Glass Bridge. But I'm going to prioritize one game only, the Glass Bridge. There are 14 correct glass panels and 14 incorrect. If you correctly guess on the first jump, you have done a 50-50 coin flip. Correctly guess again, and you successfully got a 1-4 chance occurrence. After that, it becomes very unlikely. I'll just show you the odds to sum things up. Yeah, good luck getting to the end solo. But there was this one time when I made it to the glass bridge and this guy correctly guessed 9 of the panels without the glass checker, and I don't know if he was cheating or just extremely lucky because the most I ever got correct in a row was 2. You're more likely to unbox the Criminality Limited than correctly guessing all 14 panels in a row. That's actually crazy, bro. Weapon crates have a lot of luck involved. In fact, they wouldn't exist without a randomizer. There are 3 types of crates, green, red, and gold, and I guess as a bonus to presents, but more on that later. For the green crate, you can't expect anything more than $400 worth, as you usually get throwables, cheap guns, and melees, and if you're wondering, it's out of 88%. The red crate is a pretty big upgrade from the green one, allowing you to get up to an 8K. It also drops stuff like magnums, Tommies, armor, and mares. Now, gold is the real deal though. Depending on your luck, you can either get a bunch of trash, like throwables, or a whole entire BFG. That's not even all. In fact, you can get so many expensive weapons like the upgraded G18, Bala, and AKM. I even put the golden fire axe on the table if it really exists. And gold is out of 200% by the way, so all this trash at the top like the smoke and CS grenades are double what they say. And presents a Halloween and winter exclusive crate that drops items like the cursed dagger, DB, and the cure. For both the red and presents crate, I don't have any percentages because the wiki is empty on that part. Scrap piles are just like weapon crates, except they focus more on giving valuables. The valuable items are of course at a lower chance of getting like the blueprint and documents, while trash like the ladder and battery have a high chance. For the weapons you can get from scraps, there's nothing too special besides the Glock 17 and Beretta, but there is the Hawkeye gun from the Brawl game mode, which is very rare. I've seen people with it a few times before, so I don't think it's that rare, but in the Criminality value list, it doesn't have much value, so that proves it further. Ah yes, the OG days of Criminality when Vibe Check was popular, when it was worth farming scrap piles for hours to get expensive items you didn't have unlocked, when you had to defend it like it was a bunker, when you had to hope you didn't hear beeping when you were leaving with an RPG. Good times. But now that's all in the past since update 1 point whatever they nerfed Vibe Check by making selling scrap items only give about 10% of what it costs to buy. Those scrap piles are now known as legacy scrap piles that are no longer obtainable. I don't feel like talking about every single one, so I'm just going to put all of them on the screen and talk about it. White scrap gave junk for the most part. You could say that the Molotov was good for defending. Green scrap gave nothing special too. Red was where the good stuff started coming from, like the C4, oh especially the C4 actually, when you had to defend Vibe Check. And gold, which gave you all the good stuff. You could get a grenade launcher, RPG, AKM, anything good honestly. Oh, and the last scrap, which were presents, they actually gave pretty good stuff, even a Slayer sword during 1.4's winter update. Hey, you made it to the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed watching and found it informative. If you're interested, I left a link to the Excel in the description for you to use later. Also, please consider leaving a like and subscribing to my channel if you found this video entertaining. I plan to post a lot of videos like this in the upcoming weeks, so it would be a good way to support me and for you to be notified whenever they come out. Peace.